Alright guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the best training method to build muscle, build strength, and torch body fat. Now, if you've been training for months and months and you still look the same, this video is about to change all of that for you. I'm about to show you the most efficient training method on the planet that I know of after 17 years of training that helps you build muscle, build strength, and get lean at the same time. It's simple, it's brutal, and it works, and it's called reverse pyramid training. I'm going to show you exactly how to structure these sessions, why this style builds strength and density faster than any other training style, and how it actually triggers fat loss without hours and hours of cardio. Let's dive in. Now, I've become such a big fan of this training method. I've used it with myself for years and years, and I've used it with hundreds of clients who have seen great results and built muscle so quickly, just like Simon here, just like Ricky here, and just like Cavi as well. These are guys that haven't been training for very long, but as you can see, they made quantum leaps with their physique, and reverse pyramid style training is the reason for that. Now, traditionally, guys, most people train with a traditional pyramid system, okay, where they go light to heavy. So I'm gonna have this pop up on the screen here. Imagine you're doing bench press, okay? Now, I know so many people still train like this because I get so many DMs and so many questions. Imagine you've got a bench press as your primary movement we're talking about today. What I see from most people is they'll do, 60 kilos for 10, 65 kilos for 10, and 70 kilos for 10, okay? And at first glance, you can look at this and say, yeah, that's great, 70 kilos for 10, pushed it on the last set, really went for it, and I hit a personal best on that last set. But there's a few issues here that we need to think about. If you're hitting, first of all, we are training, not exercising. How are you getting stronger on your third set? Your third set, you've done set 1 and set 2, you should be at your most fatigued, at your most tired, at your weakest. How are you hitting a PB on that final lift? I'll tell you how, because set 1 and set 2 were a massive waste of time. They were warm-up sets. Not a waste of time, but they were warm-up sets. The way I look at that, guys, you've done one working set. You still have 2 sets to go. Where are you going? If you're running it as at 3 sets, which 90% of kind of beginner to intermediate lifters do. Set 1 was too easy. Set 2 was too easy. Only set 3 did we actually push training intensity and actually push ourselves close to muscular failure. But by set 3, we're fatigued from set 1 or 2. Reverse pyramid, we're going to reverse pyramid style training flips that on its head. So what I want you to think about from now on, guys, with your training, now this could be bench press, leg press, squat, deadlift, bicep curl, is you start with your heaviest set first while your energy, focus, strength are at their peak. When you are at your best, the first set is where you PB, okay? And then you reduce the load. And then you reduce the load, okay? That way you're doing 3 working sets. Volume is there, intensity is there. And guys, intensity creates density, okay? You have to push yourself hard. So the way I want your sets to look is like this. I'm gonna have it pop up on the screen again. Imagine we have that same movement, the bench press, right? We're looking at doing 1 to 2 warm-up sets. Yeah, 1 to 2 warm-up sets. So you're not just walking into the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning and putting your max weight on the bench press and going for it. No, 1 to 2 warm-up sets. Then you're gonna try, let's say, so imagine you did that third set. Normally you did 70 kilos for 10, I think I said. So if we're doing 70 for 10 on our third and final set, we can probably do 80 for 8 in our first set when we are fresh. That's where we want to start. 80 for 10, then you drop the load either 10 to 20%. So we're going to say 80 for 10, maybe 75 for 12, or maybe 80 for 10, 70 for 12, maybe 60 for 15. Now, why this is beneficial is for a few reasons. First of all, we're working through a variety of rep ranges, 8 to 10, 12 to 15, up to 15 plus, or maybe you can go 6 to 8 for your heavy set. So we're kind of ticking the boxes. You always hear that argument, 6 reps is strength, 10 reps is hypertrophy, 15 reps is endurance. No, we are ticking all the boxes. We've got a low rep range, we've got a mid rep range, we've got a high rep range. We're going into set 1 fresh at our absolute best, and that is the one that's going to help us build muscle. That's the one we're going for. Once we hit that 80 for 10, by the way, you should nearly die under the bar, and you shouldn't be able to get 11 reps or 12 reps. 80 for 10, If I ask you to do 2 more, the bar should drop on you. You should be failing at about 11 reps. Yeah, so you're 0 to 1 rep away from failure. That's training. We're not exercising here. From there, take a break. How long do you take? As long as you need. We're not doing cardio. We're not on an exercise bike. We're not doing intervals on the rower. You take as long as you need. If it's 3 minutes, it's 3 minutes. Okay, please don't do 15 seconds and look at your heart rate and jump back in. No, you take as long as you need. We're trying to build muscle and trying to build strength here. We're not doing cardio. You drop the load 10 to 20%, and then you're going to go again for that 12 rep range or so. Then you do it again, 12 to 15 rep range. By doing this, all 3 sets are brutal. All 3 sets are close to failure. You've PB'd on the first set, hopefully, and it sets you up for next week. Next week, you think, right, I did 80 for 10 when I was fresh. This week, I'm going to do my 2 warm-up sets. I'm going to try and go 82.5 for even 8. 82, and then next week, 82.5 for 9. Then you get it for 10, and then you creep your way up. Those 2.5 kilo increments, when you are fresh, that don't seem like a big deal now, are the difference between being massive and being small in 5 years' time. Okay, imagine if you can take your bench press from 80 kilos to 120 kilos over a 4 or 5 year period. Your chest, triceps and shoulders would be massive, and you would have done the same for your rows, the same for your overhead presses, the same for your squat, the same for your deadlift, and you just have so much muscle overall. Guys, I've been in this game for a long time now. I've coached hundreds of men, over 700 people in the last 5 years. I've been training for nearly 17 years myself. The best physiques are also strong. More strength tends to lead to more muscle. If you're watching this and you're very, very weak, you don't have much size, you don't have much strength, and you go to the gym, you do flies, and you do press, and you do dips, and you do this, and you do that, and then you're supersetting, drop setting, you're forgetting the basics, and the basics work. You need to get stronger over time at our key lifts. And if you're really strong, like I'm talking really, really strong. I bench pressed 140 kilos for 6 reps back in the day. No surprise, when I did it, I was also my absolute biggest and absolute strongest, okay? I squatted 180 kilos for 2 back in the day. When I did that, my quads just happened to be the biggest they'd ever been, and I was the strongest I've ever been. Success leaves clues. If you're watching this and you can only bench press, dumbbell press 25 kilo dumbbells, and you're struggling and you're trying to superset them with a fly. Like I see guys, they'll dumbbell press, superset with a fly. And you go to complete, how are you going to progress the lift? You're doing too much straight away. You need to simplify things, get better at the basics, build muscle over time. That is how you build a great physique. Later down the line, when you have the size, when you've built the muscle, can you start playing around with these sort of things? But right now, focus on the basics. Now, in terms of how to structure this, guys, your programming is important. So if we're doing a chest workout, when you're doing bench press, then incline press, then decline press, then flies, you can imagine how difficult it gets to perform great sets after the second or third exercise, which is why training two body parts, training a muscle group 2 to 3 times a week has become so popular, because you can maximize intensity that way. If you do an upper lower session, all of your lifts in that upper body session are going to be so much higher than before, okay? Because you have a bench press as your first movement, then you have a chin up as your second movement, then you have a shoulder press. So although you did the bench press, you then had 15 minutes in between the bench and the chin ups where you're working your back, and then you can go into the shoulder press fresh. Then you go from the shoulder press to a row and your back is fresh. Then you go from the row into a tricep movement. Then you go into delts and biceps. By doing this, you can lift more load over time. With your leg workout, you do a quad movement, a hamstring movement, a glute movement, then maybe quad, ham, glute again. Then you take a day off. Then you go back to your upper body workout again. So every time you train, you're fresh. If you're doing 25 sets in a chest workout, after set 6, it's just junk volume. It's not quality work, and you're probably going to end up getting injured. And that's what I see people doing now. Everyone looks the same year in, year out for multiple years at a time. I've coached so many men now, over 700 people, and sometimes people say to me they've trained for 20 years. And I look at their photos, and it's like they've never been to a gym in their life. I've changed people's physiques in 6 months from this style of training. I've made progress myself long into my training career with this training style. Remember, guys, when you train like this as well, you can really push the intensity. People just don't like to train hard, okay? You want to be training within a rep of failure across every set, across every movement, okay? Because more muscle, as I said before, means a higher metabolism. More muscle means you can eat more food. If you can eat more food, it means you can diet on more calories. If you can diet on more calories, it means you're going to have an easier time getting lean, and you're going to be able to hold so much more muscle because you can diet on higher food. If you imagine I had to diet on 1,800 calories to get lean versus 2,500 calories to get lean, the version of me that can eat 2,500 calories because he's built so much muscle by progressing his training properly and increasing his food over time will hold more muscle, won't blow his diet, and will look 1,000 times better than the 1,800 calorie guy who had to starve himself to get down. So repetition is important, guys. You do have to do this stuff over and over again. It's another issue I run into with I just coach people online, guys. I don't train people. I just literally make content and coach people. And everyone wants a new training plan every 4 weeks. If you want great legs, you need to add 50 kilos to your squat, 50 kilos to your leg press or hack squat, 50 kilos to your RDL, 50 kilos to your lunge or Bulgarian split squat. That's it. You don't need to triple drop set the leg extension, triple drop set the hamstring curl, pair it with, pulse squats and 1 1/4 reps. Guys, don't overcomplicate this stuff. And if you need help, guys, if you're struggling with your training, I've got all my coaching links below. I have my premium coaching where I help my guys one-to-one, which I'm nearly at capacity now. And I've got my online physique course for the guys that need a bit of help without the cost of that premium coaching. But guys, you don't have to buy any of it. The fact that you're watching this video is good enough for me.